The red dust of Mars swirled against the hermetically sealed windows of Research Station Alpha. Inside, Dr. Kim Ta-sung adjusted his research equipment for the 5th time that day. His hands trembled slightly, not from the cold, but from excitement. After 3 years of digging through Mars' northern hemisphere, his team had finally found something extraordinary. The crystalline structure they'd uncovered stood nearly 15 meters tall, its surface smooth despite millions of years of Martian storms. Under the harsh lights of the research station, it gleamed with an inner fire that seemed to dance between blues and purples. Dr. Kim had never seen anything like it in his 20 years of space archaeology. Recording log entry 47, he spoke into his tablet. The structure appears to be artificial in nature, composed of an unknown crystalline material that exhibits unusual properties. Surface temperature remains constant at 20 degrees Celsius despite external conditions. Behind him, Dr. Park Mina carefully operated the scanning equipment. She had been the first to notice the strange patterns etched into the crystal's surface, patterns that defied natural formation. "Tai-sung, you need to see this," she called out, her voice tight with barely contained excitement. The patterns were beginning to glow. As the research team watched in stunned silence, the etchings lifted off the surface, forming 3-dimensional projections in the air. What had appeared to be decorative markings revealed themselves as text. Hundreds of different writing systems, some alien, some eerily similar to ancient Earth scripts. It's a message," whispered Dr. Li Huan, the team's linguist. His fingers flew across his tablet as he attempted to catalog the various scripts. The same message, repeated in different languages. Some of these match known precursor writings we found across the solar system. The message was simple but chilling. "Danger, quarantine zone. Earth species, max as inuum caution." 200 million kilometers away, aboard the Imperial flagship Dawn's Light, Admiral Park Duhe received the transmission from Mars. The holographic projection filled his private chamber, showing the crystalline monolith in perfect detail. His aide, Lieutenant Lee Jun-ki, stood rigidly at attention, waiting for orders. "Another warning sign," Admiral Park said, his voice tinged with amusement. "How many is that now, Lieutenant?" "This marks the 7th warning artifact we've discovered in this sector, sir," Lieutenant Lee replied, consulting his datapad. "However, the energy signatures from this one are significantly stronger than previous discoveries." Admiral Park waved his hand dismissively. "The Empire has expanded across 12,000 systems, Lieutenant. Every dead civilization leaves behind its superstitions and fears. We've found similar warnings around worlds that now proudly serve the Empire." "Sir," Lieutenant Lee ventured carefully, "the translation team notes that this warning appears in languages we've never encountered before. Some predate known civilization records." The Admiral rose from his chair and walked to the viewport. The red planet hung below them, Earth a small blue marble in the distance. The Empire had spent decades slowly approaching this solar system, cataloging its resources and studying its inhabitants. Everything had been done according to standard protocol. "The diplomatic corps is prepared for first contact," Admiral Park said. "The humans have recently achieved basic spaceflight and have colonies on their moon and Mars. They're ready for integration into the Empire." Lieutenant Lee shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, the research team is requesting more time to study the monolith. They believe it might contain additional information about why Earth was marked for quarantine." Admiral Park turned, his expression stern. "Lieutenant, I've overseen the integration of 37 worlds into the Empire. Every time, we find artifacts like this. Remnants of ancient civilizations trying to mark their territory or warn away competitors. The humans are a level 3 civilization at best. They've barely mastered their own planet." He walked to his command console and entered a series of codes. "Send the diplomatic corps. Standard first contact protocols. Let's show these humans the benefits of joining the Galactic Empire." "Yes, sir," Lieutenant Lee responded, but his eyes lingered on the holographic warning message still floating in the air. Something about this felt different from their previous encounters. As Lieutenant Lee left the chamber, Admiral Park studied the rotating image of Earth, such a small planet to have garnered such an elaborate warning. In his 40 years of service, he'd learned that the only real threat to the Empire was hesitation. Warnings were for the weak, for those who lacked the vision to seize opportunity. The diplomatic fleet would launch within the hour. Soon, Earth would become just another star on the Empire's flag, and this warning would join countless others in the Empire's archaeological archives, forgotten relics of a more primitive age. But in the dark of space, the crystalline monolith on Mars continued to pulse with its ancient warning, its message repeating in an endless loop, trying to prevent history from repeating itself once again. The stellar dawn glided silently through space, its silver hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. Ambassador Han Yi-jin stood on the bridge, her ceremonial robes flowing with each measured step as she reviewed the first contact protocols one final time. After 17 successful integrations, she had developed an almost perfect sense for how these encounters would unfold. "Begin the approach sequence," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of imperial authority. "Activate all peaceful intent beacons and prepare the cultural exchange data package." The ship's crew worked with practiced efficiency. They had performed this ceremony countless times before, a carefully choreographed display of the Empire's power wrapped in the gentle guise of diplomatic overture. Behind the stellar dawn, 4 Imperial warships maintained their escort formation, weapons powered down but ready. Broadcasting standard greeting on all frequencies, reported Communications Officer Kang Min-ho, using primitive radio waves as per protocol for Level 3 civilizations. Ambassador Han allowed herself a small smile. The humans would be awed by their arrival, just as all young species were. Their primitive scanning systems would detect the Empire's ships at any moment. And then, Ambassador Min-ho's voice cracked with surprise. "We're receiving a response, but it's not radio." Han's smile faltered. "Explain." It's a quantum encrypted transmission, using protocols we've only seen in theoretical papers. The encryption level exceeds our standard diplomatic channels." Before Han could process this information, the space around Earth shimmed like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Where there had been empty void moments before, ships now hung in perfect formation, hundreds of them. Their design was unlike anything in the Imperial database, all sharp angles and matte black surfaces that seemed to drink in light. "Impossible," whispered Captain Kim Da-won. "Our long-range scans showed no orbital defense network, no fleet installations." Ambassador Han felt her carefully laid plans crumbling. This was not how first contact with a Level 3 civilization was supposed to proceed. She straightened her spine, drawing on decades of diplomatic experience. Perhaps they have help from another spacefaring race. Initiate the dominance display. Show them the true might of the Empire. It was a standard tactic, a careful blend of technological superiority and military precision, designed to inspire both awe and subtle fear. The 4 escort vessels began their choreographed maneuver, their engines flaring in perfect synchronization as they moved to surround the stellar dawn in a diamond formation. The first ship went dark halfway through its turn. One moment it was executing a perfect arc through space. The next it was a lifeless hulk, all systems dead. The second and third escorts followed seconds later, their crews helpless as some invisible force stripped away their power. "What's happening?" Han demanded, watching in horror as her perfect formation dissolved into chaos. "Unknown energy weapon," reported the tactical officer, his fingers flying across his console. "It's not like anything in our database. The ship's systems aren't just disabled. It's as if their technology has been turned off." A new transmission cut through their communications, this one bypassing all their security protocols as if they didn't exist. A human face appeared on their main view screen, a woman with calm eyes and the bearing of someone used to command. "Imperial vessel Stellar Dawn." She spoke in perfect galactic standard. "This is Fleet Admiral Song Jae-ha of the Earth Defense Force." Your approach has been noted and your capabilities assessed. You will maintain your current position and make no further attempts at what you call a dominance display." Ambassador Han fought to keep her voice steady. "I am Ambassador Han Yi-jin of the Galactic Empire. We come in peace to offer your world the benefits of imperial protection and guidance." Admiral Song's expression didn't change, but something like amusement flickered in her eyes. "Ambassador Han, we have studied your empire for many years. We know of your peaceful integrations. We know of your methods. Earth does not require protection or guidance." "How?" Han started to ask, but was cut off. "Your ships are currently disabled but not damaged. Consider this a demonstration of restraint." Admiral Song continued, "You have 1 hour to retrieve your escort vessels and return to your fleet. Any further incursion into Earth space will be considered an act of war." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge of the Stellar Dawn in stunned silence. Through the viewport, Han could see the Earth ships maintaining their perfect formation, a dark reminder that everything she thought she knew about this mission had been wrong. "Send a priority message to Admiral Park," she ordered quietly. Tell him the warnings were right. Earth is not what we thought it was." As the Stellar Dawn began the humbling process of retrieving its powerless escorts, Ambassador Han watched the blue planet below with new eyes. For the first time in her diplomatic career, she felt something she hadn't experienced since her earliest days in service to the Empire. Fear. The humans hadn't just matched Imperial technology. They had surpassed it, and they had done so in complete secrecy, hidden behind a facade of primitive development. Han couldn't help but wonder what else they were hiding, and why those ancient warnings had been so specific about keeping away from Earth. The central archives of the Galactic Empire stretched a kilometer beneath the capital world's surface, its vast halls filled with the accumulated knowledge of 1,000,000 worlds. In Section 7B, Level 42, researcher Kang Mei sat surrounded by floating holographic displays, her eyes red from lack of sleep. For 3 days straight, she had been chasing a pattern that seemed too precise to be coincidence. "Computer, display timeline event series 147 again," she commanded, rubbing her tired eyes. The air in front of her filled with a spiral of dates and events, each one connected to Earth. As she watched, the spiral began to pulse with a steady rhythm, exactly 10,000 years between each major event. The door to her research pod slid open with a soft hiss. Song Hyun-woo entered, carrying 2 cups of stimulant drink. "You missed the daily briefing again," he said, placing 1 cup next to her workstation. "The Imperial Council is demanding answers about the Earth situation." Mei barely noticed the drink. "Look at this pattern, Hyun-woo. It's not random. Every 10,000 years, like clockwork, someone tries to either conquer or study Earth. The Precursor Empire in Cycle 1, the Collective in Cycle 2, the Golden Fleet in Cycle 3. And all of them failed." Hyun-woo finished, leaning in to study the data. "We know this already. It's why there were warning beacons. But look closer." Mei-Ray's fingers danced through the holographic display, pulling up detailed reports. Each civilization was more advanced than the last. The precursors had technology we still can't understand. The Collective could reshape entire solar systems. The Golden Fleet was supposedly invincible. And yet, they all failed. Hyun-woo whispered, finally seeing the pattern. But how? Earth was primitive during most of these encounters. They shouldn't have been able to resist even one of these civilizations. Mei pulled up another display, this one showing genetic data recovered from ancient Earth probes. Because they're not primitive at all. Look at their genetic structure. It's perfect, too perfect. The adaptation rate, the neural plasticity, the cellular regeneration. Humans weren't just born this way. They were engineered. Engineered. By whom? That's what I've been trying to figure out. Mei stood up and began pacing, her words coming faster now. There's something older than the precursors, something that predates all our records. They created humans as the perfect adaptive species. Think about it. Why else would Earth be quarantined? Why else would every advanced civilization fail to conquer them? Hyunwoo frowned, processing this information. The diplomatic report mentioned quantum encryption and cloaked ships. How could they develop that technology so quickly? Because they're designed to learn and improve upon any technology they encounter. Mirai pulled up more data streams. Every time someone tried to conquer Earth, the humans didn't just resist. They absorbed and improved upon the invaders' technology. Each failure added to their capabilities. A new alert flashed across their screens. More data from the Earth encounter. Mirai and Hyunwoo watched as footage from the disabled Imperial ships played out. The strange energy weapon that had shut them down wasn't just advanced. It was impossibly elegant in its simplicity. "We need to tell the Council," Hyunwoo said, his voice urgent. "If what you're saying is true, they won't believe us." Mirai cut him off. "But look at this." She brought up one final display, showing energy readings from Earth. These readings match fragments we found from the oldest ruins in the galaxy. Whoever engineered the humans left them with more than just adaptive capabilities. They left them with technological seeds, dormant knowledge that would activate when needed. The implications were staggering. Every attempt to conquer Earth hadn't just failed. It had made humanity stronger. They weren't just dangerous. They were designed to become more dangerous with each challenge they faced. The warnings weren't just about Earth's defenses, Mirai said softly. They were trying to prevent exactly what's happening now. The Empire's attempt at contact has triggered another advancement cycle. We didn't just wake a sleeping giant. We gave it new weapons to adapt and improve upon. Hyunwoo stared at the data, his face pale. Then what do we do? Mirai looked at the spiral of failures throughout history, each one marking another civilization that had underestimated Earth. "We warned them," she said. "We warned them that continuing this conflict won't just end in failure. It will make humanity even stronger." And then, she paused, looking at the genetic data again. "We pray they listen, because the pattern suggests something even more frightening." "What's that?" "If this is the 10,000th year since the last attempt, we're right on schedule for the next major event in human evolution. And this time, they have access to Imperial technology to build upon." The implications hung in the air between them, as heavy as the weight of history itself. Deep in the archives, surrounded by the records of fallen civilizations, two researchers had discovered why Earth had been quarantined, not to protect humanity from the galaxy, but to protect the galaxy from what humanity was designed to become. Thousands of Imperial warships filled the void of space, their formations stretching across the solar system like a metal constellation. On the bridge of the flagship Imperial Wrath, General Choi Da-hyun stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as the last ships took their positions. 10,000 ships, he announced to his assembled command staff. The largest fleet the Empire has assembled in 100 years. Earth will learn the price of defiance. His tactical officer, Captain Yoon Sang-min, cleared his throat nervously. "Sir, the research division's report suggests caution. The data from the archives. The archives tell us stories of the past." General Choi cut him off. "We are the Empire of today. Our technology has advanced beyond anything those ancient civilizations possessed." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean on Earth, Commander Lee Min-ji stood in the hidden command center of humanity's defense forces. Holographic displays showed the Imperial fleet's positions, their numbers far exceeding initial estimates. "They really brought everything," her executive officer commented, worry evident in his voice. Min-ji smiled slightly. "No, they'd brought exactly what we wanted them to bring." She pressed a command on her console, sending encoded signals across the solar system. "Initiate Operation Awakening." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden forces stirred to life. Inside asteroids, beneath ocean floors, within the cores of moons, ships that had waited generations began powering up. They were the products of centuries of reverse engineering, each vessel incorporating technology from every failed invasion Earth had ever faced. Multiple contacts, shouted an Imperial sensor operator. New signatures appearing throughout the system. General Choi watched in disbelief as ships seemed to materialize from nowhere. They emerged from asteroids that split open like eggs, rose from the depths of Earth's oceans, and appeared from within the very moons his forces had passed by. The human fleet was not just matching his numbers. They were exceeding them. "Impossible," he whispered, but the evidence was before his eyes. Commander Minji's voice echoed across all frequencies, bypassing Imperial encryption, as if it didn't exist. "Imperial fleet, this is your final warning. Withdraw now, or face the consequences of your aggression." General Choi's face hardened. "All ships, battle formations, show these humans the true might of the Empire. Commence firing." The first shots of the battle lit up space like new stars being born. Imperial energy weapons lashed out at the human fleet, only to meet defensive shields unlike anything they had encountered. The human ships seemed to absorb the energy, their shields growing stronger with each hit. "Sir," Captain Yoon's voice was urgent, "their shields are adapting to our weapons. Each hit is less effective than the last." Before General Choi could respond, the human fleet launched their counterattack. Their weapons were a terrifying mix of technologies, some recognized from Imperial databases as belonging to long-dead civilizations, others completely unknown. Entire squadrons of Imperial ships went dark, their systems shut down by the same weapon that had disabled the diplomatic mission. Others found their hulls transformed into exotic materials that simply ceased to maintain cohesion. Still others vanished entirely, transported to unknown locations by weapons that bent space itself. "Pull back to secondary positions," General Choi ordered, watching as his carefully planned formations began to crumble. "Concentrate fire on their command ships." But there seemed to be no command ships to target. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination despite having no apparent hierarchy. Each vessel operated independently yet in perfect concert with the others, displaying a level of tactical efficiency it seemed impossible. By the second day, a third of the Imperial fleet had been disabled or destroyed. Human forces had suffered losses as well, but each destroyed human ship seemed to provide data that made the remaining ones stronger. Commander Minji watched the battle unfold with clinical detachment. "They still don't understand," she said to her staff. "Every shot they fire, every tactic they use, every piece of technology they display. We learn from it all. We adapt. We improve. We evolve." On the third day, General Choi faced the impossible decision that all his predecessors had faced when confronting Earth. His fleet was in ruins, 40% of his ships lost or disabled. The humans had not just defeated them, they had dismantled them with terrifying efficiency. "Send the withdrawal signal," he ordered, his voice hollow. "All remaining ships are to retreat beyond the solar system's edge." As the Imperial fleet fled in disarray, Commander Minji sent one final message. "Remember this lesson. Empire, remember why Earth was marked as forbidden. Remember why the warnings were posted. And most importantly, remember what happens to those who ignore them." The battle was over, but its implications would echo through the Empire. Humanity had not just defended itself. It had demonstrated a level of technological and tactical superiority that would send shockwaves through galactic civilization. The Empire's greatest fleet had been defeated, and Earth's reputation as a world to be feared was cemented once again. The laboratory hummed with the soft whir of quantum computers and advanced diagnostic equipment. 300 meters beneath the streets of Seoul, Dr. Yoon Ji-hoo peered into a holographic display that showed human DNA strands rotating slowly in the air. But these weren't ordinary genetic patterns. They held secrets that had taken decades to uncover. "Run the comparison again," he instructed the AI system. "Show me the differences between modern human DNA and the samples from 10,000 years ago." The display split, showing two DNA patterns side by side. To an untrained eye, they might have looked identical. But Ji-hoo saw what others had missed, Subtle changes that appeared with each generation, microscopic adaptations that shouldn't have been possible. Doctor, his assistant called from across the lab. The new samples from the soldiers who engaged the Imperial fleet have arrived. Jehu turned to accept the sealed container, his hands trembling slightly with excitement. Inside were tissue samples from pilots who had directly interfaced with captured Imperial technology. What he found in their genetic material would either confirm or disprove his theory. In an Imperial intelligence facility light years away, Officer Kim Soo-min sat in a darkened room, reviewing the classified footage from the battle. Unlike her superiors, she wasn't interested in the tactical analysis. Her eyes were fixed on the way human ships seemed to adapt during combat, how their technology evolved mid-battle. "Computer," she commanded, cross-referenced these battle patterns with Historical Archive File 7249B. The computer displayed another ancient battle, this one from the time of the precursors. The similarities were striking. The same adaptive capabilities, the same impossible technological leaps. But something was different this time. The humans were stronger, faster, more efficient. Back in Seoul, Jehu's lab erupted with activity as the results from the new samples came in. "This is incredible," he breathed, watching the data stream across his screens. "The pilot's DNA. It's not just adapting to the new technology. It's integrating it at a cellular level." He pulled up historical records, comparing the new data with samples taken after previous extraterrestrial encounters. Each time humanity faced a new technological challenge, their genetic code shifted slightly, becoming more complex, more capable. "We're not just learning new technology," Jehu said to his assistant. "We're evolving to become one with it. Every encounter makes us stronger." Meanwhile, Officer Kim had made her way down to the deepest levels of the Imperial archives. Here, in files so old the language had to be translated multiple times, she found what she was looking for: the true origin of the human species. The ancient text scrolled across her screen. Project Genesis. Creation of the ultimate adaptive species. Warning. Results exceeded parameters. Containment protocols initiated. Her eyes widened as she read further. Humans hadn't evolved naturally. They had been engineered by a civilization so advanced they had disappeared from history. Created not as servants or soldiers, but as an experiment in controlled evolution. In his lab, Jehu made the same discovery from a different angle. The genetic markers he'd been studying weren't random mutations. They were carefully designed programs, lying dormant in human DNA, waiting to be activated by exposure to advanced technology. "It's like a cosmic joke," he said to his empty lab. "Every civilization that tried to conquer us gave us exactly what we needed to become stronger. We're not just good at adapting. We were created to adapt. It's literally in our DNA." Kim Soo-min felt a chill as she reached the end of the ancient report. The warnings hadn't been placed around Earth to protect humanity from outside interference. They had been placed there to protect the galaxy from what humanity might become. She quickly encoded a message to Imperial Command. Project Genesis subjects continuing to evolve. Rate of advancement accelerating. Quarantine was never meant to contain. It was meant to delay. Recommendation: immediate withdrawal from Earth sector. But she knew it was too late. The Empire's attack had done exactly what the ancient engineers had planned for. It had given humanity access to a vast new array of technologies to adapt to and improve upon. In Seoul, Jehu looked at the latest genetic scans from across the globe. Humanity's encounter with the Empire had triggered changes in the population's DNA at an unprecedented rate. They were evolving faster than ever before, becoming something new. "We're not just adapting anymore," he said into his recorder. "We're transcending. Every civilization that tried to stop us only made us stronger. The Empire's attack wasn't just a military failure. It was the key that unlocked the next stage of human evolution." As both the scientist and the intelligence officer reached the same conclusion from opposite ends of the galaxy, the truth became clear. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their military might. It was their very nature, engineered to adapt, designed to evolve, created to become something that even their makers had feared. The warnings had been right all along, but not in the way anyone had expected. Earth wasn't a prison or a preserve. It was an incubator, and humanity had just been given everything they needed to complete their transformation. The Imperial flagship, Eternal Glory, erupted from hyperspace, leading an armada that stretched across the solar system. Supreme Commander Ba Ju-1 stood at the bridge's viewport, his weathered face reflecting the light of 5,000 warships emerging behind him. "The Empire has never lost a war," he declared to his assembled officers. "Today, we end this rebellion before it can truly begin." His words carried the weight of desperation. This was the Empire's entire mobile fleet, every combat-ready vessel they could gather. On the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Prometheus, Admiral Park Jae-yun watched the Imperial fleet's arrival with calm eyes. Decades of preparation had led to this moment. The massive screens surrounding her command center showed friendly vessels moving into position, ships hidden in dimensional pockets, emerging from quantum bubbles, rising from underground bases on Mars and Venus. "They brought their entire fleet," her tactical officer reported. "Just as we predicted." Jae-yun nodded. "Because they had to. Send the signal. All ships, initiate Operation Emergence." The space around Earth seemed to ripple and twist as humanity's true fleet revealed itself. Ships appeared from folded space, each one a hybrid of technologies, gathered from countless civilizations. Some bore the organic curves of precursor design, others the crystalline structures of the collective. All of them had been improved, refined, and evolved beyond their original forms. Commander Ba's face paled as his sensors registered the true size of Earth's forces. 10,000 ships. Impossible. Where were they hiding? "Sir," his science officer interrupted, "these readings, each human vessel appears to be running multiple technology bases simultaneously. They've somehow merged incompatible systems." Before the commander could respond, Admiral Park's voice echoed through every Imperial communication channel. "Imperial Fleet, this is Admiral Park Jae-yun of Earth. Your Empire has ignored ancient warnings, violated our space, and threatened our people. We offered you the chance to retreat. That chance has expired." The human fleet moved with impossible coordination, their formations shifting like a living organism. Ships linked together in ways that defied traditional space combat doctrine, creating geometric patterns that seemed to bend the fabric of space itself. "All ships, battle formation," Commander Bai ordered, trying to maintain control of the situation. "Launch fighters and begin the attack pattern." But the human fleet was already moving. The first wave of Earth ships didn't fire weapons. Instead, they released clouds of nanites that had been engineered using technology from 3 different civilizations. Imperial shields, designed to stop energy weapons and physical projectiles, were useless against the microscopic machines that began rewriting their ship's base metals. "Second wave, initiate dimensional fold," Admiral Park commanded. Hundreds of Earth ships vanished, reappearing inside the Imperial formation. But instead of firing, they projected fields that isolated pockets of space-time, trapping Imperial vessels in temporal bubbles where seconds stretched into hours. Commander Bod watched in horror as his carefully planned assault dissolved into chaos. How are they doing this? No species can control this many different technology bases at once. His answer came from an unexpected source: his own ship's computers. Human cyber warfare suites, evolved far beyond their original design, sliced through Imperial encryption like it wasn't there. Every screen on every Imperial vessel displayed the same message: "We are humanity. We adapt. We evolve. We transcend." The battle became a demonstration of everything humanity had become. Ships equipped with precursor organic technology, merged with vessels running crystalline computing cores. Weapons reverse-engineered from a dozen failed invasions, combined in ways their original creators had never imagined. "Pull back to secondary positions," Commander Bai ordered, but it was too late. The human fleet wasn't just fighting. They were evolving their tactics in real time, learning from every exchange, improving their strategies with each passing moment. Admiral Park watched the battle unfold with the satisfaction of a teacher whose students had exceeded all expectations. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "Show them what we've become." The center of the human fleet opened like a blooming flower, revealing something that made even veteran Imperial officers gasp. A ship unlike anything seen before, not built, but grown and evolved. A perfect fusion of organic and mechanical, of physical and energy, of matter and consciousness itself. "This is humanity's gift to the galaxy," Admiral Park transmitted. "Not destruction, but transformation. Not conquest, but transcendence. You sought to make us kneel. Instead, we will teach you to soar." The new vessel pulsed with energy that defied Imperial sensors, its very existence demonstrating what humanity had become, not just users of technology, but shapers of reality itself. This was why the ancient warnings had been posted. This was what humanity had been designed to become. Commander Ba, watching his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled by forces he barely understood, finally grasped the truth. The Empire hadn't been fighting a war. They had been participating in humanity's final evolution. Every attack, every strategy, every piece of technology they deployed was being absorbed, adapted, and transcended. The battle that would be remembered as humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage wasn't just a military victory. It was a transformation. Earth wasn't just defending itself. It was announcing its ascension to something beyond traditional civilization. As Imperial ships began their retreat, Admiral Park sent one final message. "Tell your Empire, humanity is no longer contained. We are no longer quarantined. We are become what we were meant to be. And the galaxy will never be the same." The grand chamber of the Galactic Council sparkled under the light of 1,000 suns, streaming in through the transparent dome above. Representatives from every major civilization in known space filled the tiered seats, their attention fixed on the singular figure standing at the center of the chamber. Dr. Shin Hai-jin, Earth's chosen representative, wore a simple white suit that seemed to shimmer with subtle technological enhancements. The room hummed with nervous energy. Just days ago, these sane representatives had watched recordings of humanity's decisive victory over the Empire's greatest fleet. Now they waited to learn what this newly emerged power would demand of the galaxy. "For millennia, your civilizations honored the warnings," Hai-jin began, her voice carrying effortlessly through the vast chamber. "You kept your distance from Earth, believing you were protecting us from the galaxy. The truth, as you now know, was quite different." Holographic displays materialized around her, showing the ancient warning markers, the battles with the Empire, and finally, humanity's transformed fleet. The images spoke of power that transcended normal technological advancement. "We were not being protected," she continued. "We were being contained. Those who created us knew what we would become. They knew our potential to adapt, to evolve, to transcend the normal boundaries of development. They feared it." In the highest tier of the chamber, Admiral Park Duha sat among the Imperial delegation, his face drawn with the weight of his memories. He remembered dismissing the warning on Mars, remembered his certainty that Earth was just another primitive world to be added to the Empire's collection. But their attempt at containment had an unexpected effect. Hai-jin explained. "In isolation, we grew stronger. Each civilization that ignored the warnings and tried to conquer us left behind pieces of their technology. We didn't just learn from these pieces, we evolved with them, merged with them, became something more than their creators ever imagined." The chamber erupted in whispers as she waved her hand, causing the air around her to ripple. Her form shifted, demonstrating humanity's new capabilities. Part organic, part machine, part energy, all working in perfect harmony. "We do not come seeking revenge or dominion," she assured them. "We come offering partnership. Humanity has learned to merge technologies that your scientists claimed were incompatible. We have discovered ways to transcend the barriers between organic and mechanical, between physical and digital, between matter and energy." From his seat, Admiral Park watched the faces of the assembled representatives. He saw fear in some, wonder in others, and in many, a dawning understanding of the opportunity before them. Already, worlds within the Empire are requesting alliance with Earth. Hyjin continued. They see what we offer, not subjugation, but evolution. Not control, but transformation. The question before this council is simple. Will you join us in building something new, or will you cling to the old order that is already crumbling? The chamber's central platform illuminated with a new hologram, a representation of the galaxy with Earth at its center, not as a seat of power, but as a source of transformation. Lines of connection spread outward, showing potential paths of development and cooperation. The warnings were right about one thing, she said, her voice softening. We are dangerous. Dangerous to stagnation, dangerous to limitation, dangerous to the idea that any species must remain forever as they are. We offer you the gift that was meant to be contained, the gift of transcendence. Admiral Park found himself standing, drawing all eyes in the chamber. I was the one who ignored the warning on Mars, he announced. I believed Earth was weak. I was wrong. But in being wrong, I helped trigger humanity's final evolution. Perhaps that was the true purpose of the warnings, not to prevent contact, but to ensure it happened at the right time. Hyjin smiled, acknowledging his insight. The age of separation is over. The boundaries between our civilizations, like the boundaries between technologies, can be transcended. We stand ready to share what we have become. One by one, representatives began to signal their acceptance. They had seen the footage of the battles, had analyzed the impossible technologies humanity now wielded. They understood that resistance was futile, not because Earth would destroy them, but because Earth could transform them. Let the record show, announced the council leader, that on this day, the galaxy chooses evolution over stagnation, transformation over conflict, unity over division. Earth is recognized not as a threat to be contained, but as a catalyst for our collective transcendence. As the chamber erupted in discussion, Admiral Park approached Hyjin. The warning on Mars, he said quietly. It wasn't meant to protect the galaxy from humanity, was it? No, she replied. It was meant to protect humanity until we were ready to fulfill our purpose. Those who created us knew we would either be destroyed or become something beyond their imagination. Thanks to you, Admiral, we became the latter. The galaxy would never be the same. The barriers between civilizations, like the barriers between technologies, were dissolving. Humanity had emerged not as conquerors, but as transformers, offering every species the chance to evolve beyond their limitations. The ancient warnings remained in place, but their meaning had changed. They no longer served as barriers, but as reminders of what happens when fear of change gives way to the embrace of transformation. Earth was no longer quarantined. It had become a beacon, calling the galaxy toward a future that even its creators had not dared to imagine.